Parents, when did your child's partner win you over? I never thought anyone would be good enough for my daughter, Ellie. After what happened with her ex in college, the manipulation, the lies, I'd built walls 10 feet high around my trust. So when she brought home James for Thanksgiving last year, I was ready with my mental checklist and a heart full of skepticism. James arrived with a bottle of wine and homemade cranberry bread. My grandmother's recipe, he explained, not meeting my eyes. Shy, I thought, or hiding something. My husband Mike took to him immediately. Men are simpler that way. But I watched James like a hawk, how he offered to help in the kitchen, how he laughed at Ellie's stories, how his hand always found hers under the table. He seems nice, Mike said that night. They all seem nice at first, I replied, folding laundry with more force than necessary. The next morning I woke early to find James alone in our kitchen, methodically grinding coffee beans. Mrs. Lawson, he startled. I hope I didn't wake you. Ellie mentioned you like your coffee strong. I nodded, suspicious of this performance. You're up early, habit from work, he said. I volunteer at the shelter on weekends. The dogs need feeding by 6 a.m. A likely story, I thought. Over the next few months, James became a fixture at family dinners. He remembered everyone's birthdays, helped my mother-in-law set up her new phone, fixed our leaky faucet. It felt too perfect, too calculated. Why can't you just give him a chance? Ellie asked after I questioned his career plans. Dad likes him. Your father would like anyone who can talk sports, I said dismissively. The truth was, I couldn't articulate why I held back. Something about James felt like a performance, like he was trying too hard. And after what Ellie had been through, I couldn't bear to see her hurt again. Then came the accident. Mike skidded on black ice driving home from work, flipping his car into a ditch. The hospital called at 8:14 p.m. Severe concussion, broken ribs, internal bleeding. I remember dropping the phone, the world tilting sideways. Ellie found me on the kitchen floor, pieced together what happened, and drove us to the hospital through a snowstorm, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. James met us there. I didn't call him. Ellie must have. He was still in his work clothes, snow melting in his hair. What happened next blurs in my memory. The endless waiting room hours, the doctors with their careful voices, the vending machine coffee that tasted like nothing. What I remember clearly is James, how he tracked down Mike's doctor when the nurse couldn't give us answers, how he brought blankets from his apartment when he noticed me shivering, how he kept a list in his phone of every medication and doctor's instruction. At 3 a.m., when Ellie finally fell asleep across the waiting room chairs, James sat beside me. He's going to be okay, he said quietly. I nodded, too exhausted for pretense. You didn't have to stay. Where else would I be? He asked, genuine confusion in his voice. That's when I saw it. Not a performance, but a man who loved my daughter enough to sit in a hospital waiting room all night, not because it would impress me, but because he couldn't imagine being anywhere else. 2 days later, when Mike was stable, I found James in the hospital cafeteria, staring into a cup of terrible coffee. You know, I said, sitting across from him, Ellie's father asked me to marry him after knowing me for 3 months. James looked up, exhaustion lining his face. I thought he was crazy, I continued, but sometimes you just know. His eyes widened slightly. If you're planning what I think you're planning, I said, you have my blessing.